I think this is one of the most important developments in the history of America, maybe of the world, because for better and for worse, America is kind of the laboratory of the earth. Swami Vivekananda, I didn't bring it. I had this quote from Vivekananda. He recognized this. He said one of the things he likes about Americans is they're so open-minded, they'll try anything. And he said, I'm not going to teach them Hinduism. I'm going to teach them something that will enrich their own lives on their own terms. So, and we'll give them Vedanta philosophy. We'll give them yoga. And the open-minded Americans took to this. The closed-minded Americans attacked him. And they still are at it. But the open-minded ones usually prevail. That's the American way. And they prevail when what they're open to turns out to be useful. Americans try things, they invent things, they test them out. If they turn out to be useful, even if at first they seem weird and foreign and strange, if it turns out to be useful and the evidence supports it, eventually we adopt it and we adapt it to our way of life. Hence yoga studios and meditation being recommended by doctors and so forth, and Catholic monks opening ashrams with Shiva Natarajas and crosses next to each other. I mean, this happens in the West. Some of what we export to the world is shameful and destructive. And I'm the first to tell young people in India, smart people in America don't do things that most Americans do, like eat junk food. Most of my friends eat more like Indians than like Americans. But that spirit of inquiry and experimentation is a very valuable one. And one of the things that I've realized on this trip is this laboratory of America has demonstrated for the world that these ancient teachings, these teachings that come to us from the rishis of the jungles and mountains of India, these incredible revelations and this repertoire of precise scientific practices that we call yoga, they're not museum pieces. They're not for libraries. They're not relics of the past. They are really relevant to modern life. We found that to be true. We didn't set out to do it, but it just happened. And I realize here, when people tell me young people in India are turning away from that and looking to the West for guidance, I think, well, that's one thing you can learn from the West, that your own tradition has great value. We've found that. We've proved that. We're applying it to modern life, to healthcare. There are corporations in America that have meditation rooms and regular yoga classes because they found it's good for the workforce, makes them more creative, more productive. It is a great blend of East and West and old and new and inner and outer and spiritual and material. The kind of blend that Swami Vivekananda hoped would happen and predicted would happen, and it turns out he was right, as were all the other gurus who came to the West who made the same kind of declarations. And I think it's a very important thing, and I'm going to close with someone who agrees with me and who has much more stature, so I'll let him say it. This is the great British historian Arnold Toynbee, who many of you may have heard of. One of the Brits who appreciated India instead of demeaning and exploiting it. He was really one of the great historians of the 20th century. And he wrote in 1969, and I conclude my book with it because he said it better than I could. It is already becoming clear that a chapter which had a Western beginning will have to have an Indian ending if it is not to end in the self-destruction of the human race. At this supremely dangerous moment in human history, the only way of salvation for mankind is the Indian way. Here we have the attitude and the spirit that can make it possible for the human race to grow together into a single family, and in the atomic age, this is the only alternative to destroying ourselves. I should just shut up and pretend you're applauding for me. But